Hello, everyone, and welcome once again, friends, colleagues, picks, whatever you're doing. Whatever reason you're here, thank you for joining me again. My name is Chris Yao. This is Chris Yao's NCAA picks for Week 8. Last week, I didn't have a great week. Didn't have a bad week. Did pick the Colorado-Kansas upset, so if you did pick that one, you're welcome. Now, we're not going to make this one as long as the last one, hopefully. So let's go ahead and get right into the picks. We don't have a very big game this week. The only game that's really huge is that Texas Christian and Brigham Young game. Now, TCU has one of the best defenses in the country. Max Hall is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So what gives, right? Well, I think you really have to look at this on a more of a different level because these teams, they're not BCS title contenders. Now, are they possibly able to beat a team in the BCS? Absolutely. Utah proved that last year by beating a very good Alabama team. So I'm not going to say that they're not going to bust the BCS and they're not going to win a game, but I think the team that has the best chance to do that is TCU. So I'm going to pick TCU in this game, and the reason being is because I feel like their defense is one of the best in the country, and I don't see BYU putting up a whole lot of points against them. They didn't last year. They won't this year. Pull out Kansas again. Kansas, I knew they weren't very good because of the way Southern Miss played them. That's the only reason I picked that upset. Colorado had expectations this year. They haven't met them yet, but I knew that they had a chance at home against Kansas. That's the only reason I picked it. And Oklahoma should beat this team handily. Shouldn't be very much of a problem for the Sooners. Move out to the West, Pac-10. Oregon State and USC. Now, Oregon State is USC's kryptonite, so to speak. A win for Oregon State in this game would go so far in the Big Ten standings because that would put just about everybody back in the running. I don't think the Beavers pull it off this year, but USC is very good. Matt Barkley, one of the best in the country. Defensively, Taylor Mays, still one of the best defensive backs in the country. Look for USC to win this one easy at home. Now, Oregon travels to Washington. Oregon has really turned it around this year. They've done a lot of good things since that Boise State mishap. Washington played LSU tight. Then they beat USC, and everybody's like, oh, man, Washington's back. Steve Sarkisian's got this team on a roll. And they just went straight downhill from there. So I think Oregon wins this one. They've got the momentum. They're playing very well. I think Oregon ends up winning the Pac-10 this year possibly. It should be an interesting year, but I think Oregon could very well end up being the Pac-10 champions. On to the Southeastern Conference. As everybody can tell, I'm an SEC fan. So, what have we got this week on the slate? Lots of big conference games. A couple big rivalry games. So let's look into it. Ole Miss hosting Arkansas. Ole Miss's defense is very, very good. I don't care what you've seen all year long. Ole Miss has still yet to give up a red zone touchdown. Impressive. Probably not going to happen this week. Arkansas is a very good football team. Ryan Mallett is a great football player. But Ole Miss's defense holds tight this week and ends up winning this game due to special teams, pretty much. Let's go over to South Carolina, where hopefully Vanderbilt won't be putting any plastic down on the field to kick their field goals. It's a ridiculous assumption by the old ball coach. Every kicker puts down something. It's just the way it happens. It's the way it goes. Vanderbilt goes to South Carolina and gets beat down. Pretty much going to be a beat down. Law Monroe at Kentucky is going to be the same thing. Kentucky's a lot better football team than what they've shown this year. That Wildcat formation without Mike Hartline, they still looked very good last week. Granted, Auburn's defense is pretty bad, but uh, speaking of Auburn's defense, let's go on and move to Auburn at LSU. Auburn heading down to Death Valley. Uh, it's a bad offense in LSU against a bad defense against Auburn. That should make for a very interesting game. Auburn's scoring offense is number 2. LSU scoring defense number 4 in the SEC. So obviously there's a good offense against a bad defense or a good defense. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I really don't know how to call this one. I'd probably say 21-17, but I'm picking the Auburn Tigers in the upset. Auburn goes into LSU and beats the Tigers. That's right. Jordan Jefferson is the reason why as well. Dan Mullen gets a first shot against his old boss, Urban Meyer. Dan Mullen has Mississippi State playing okay lately. Didn't played a great first half against Middle Tennessee State last week. Didn't play a great second half, so maybe they're getting it turned around, maybe not. Chad Bumpus is amazing. I don't know if you know this or not. Chad Bumpus, wide receiver at Mississippi State, is pretty good. He's going to be one to watch for years to come. Florida wins this one pretty easily. Now, on to the next final game of the week in the SEC. The Alabama Crimson Tide hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. Yes, I'm a Tennessee fan. Please don't hold that against me. Tennessee coming off a dismantling of Georgia last week. Alabama coming off an unimpressive couple of wins over Kentucky and South Carolina. I hate to say that, but Alabama has not played well outside of Mark Ingram and Rolando McClain in the last 2 weeks. The defense has played great. The offense has sputtered. Most of that is due to Greg McElroy. He's forcing passes. He is not making his reads properly. He's not waiting. And he's holding on to the ball. When he is waiting, he's holding on to it too long. So he's got to find that perfect mixture of when to read and when to check off. He's not reading the blitzes very well. What I see is McElroy being the key to this ball game. If McElroy is able to get anything going offensively, Dennis Rogan and Eric Berry are going to have to be the showstoppers for Tennessee, and I don't see that happening against such a great wide receiver core that Alabama has. Julio Jones, Darius Hanks, Marquise Mays, lots of great threats that Alabama has, and I don't see Tennessee being able to hold up with that. So I think Alabama wins this one. I think it's a 24-10, 24-13 game. Not a big blowout. Take the under in the spread and also take Tennessee in the spread, as it's 16 points right now, I believe. So I believe that's going to do it for me this week. Like I said, try to keep it a little bit shorter this week, and we've got a slate of 10 games. We'll see how I do next week. Join me once again next week on Chris Yow's NCAA Picks. We'll see you next time. Thank you.